The galaxy was calm. Stars burned quietly. Planets moved in perfect paths. Civilizations lived, traded, and grew without fear. For thousands of years, nothing had truly threatened the galaxy as a whole, until one signal changed everything. It appeared suddenly. No one knew where it came from at first. It was not sent through normal channels. It did not follow known communication rules. It simply appeared. Every major system received it at the same time. Military networks, civilian stations, deep space relays, even isolated outposts far from the core. The message was short, simple, clear. We have seen what is coming. You must prepare. If you do not, everything will end. At first, there was silence, then confusion, then laughter, because the message came from humanity. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only joined the wider space community a short time ago. Their technology was decent, but not impressive. Their fleets were small. Their influence was limited. To most species, humans were still learning, still growing, still weak. So when the message was traced back to Earth, many leaders did not take it seriously. On the council world of Varex Prime, the Galactic Assembly gathered in an emergency session. The great chamber was filled with beings of every kind, tall ones, small ones, creatures of light metal and flesh, all watching the same message repeat in the center of the hall. We have seen what is coming. A tall, thin alien with pale skin stood from his seat, his long fingers folded calmly behind his back. "This is fear," he said in a quiet voice. "Humans are emotional. They panic easily." Some nodded, others made soft sound of agreement. "They have likely detected something they do not understand," he continued. "And now they imagine the worst." A few beings laughed openly. "Everything will end," one of them said. Dramatic. But not everyone agreed. In the back of the chamber, a smaller species remained silent. Their large eyes stayed fixed on the message. Because something felt wrong. Very wrong. The message played again. But this time, they listened more carefully. The human voice was calm. Too calm. Not scared. Not panicked. Just certain. And then they noticed the final line. "We already tried to stop it. We failed." The chamber slowly grew quiet. That part was different. That part did not sound like fear. It sounded like truth. One council member leaned forward. "Contact Earth," they ordered. "We need clarification." A signal was sent immediately. Then another, and another. No reply. Hours passed. Still nothing. "Perhaps they are busy with their end of the galaxy problem," someone joked. Laughter returned, but weaker this time. Because far away, something strange had already begun. In a distant system near the edge of known space, a mining colony suddenly went silent. No warning, no distress call, no explosion. One moment it was there. The next, nothing. At first, the monitoring stations thought it was a system error. Equipment fails all the time. Signals can be lost. They sent a drone to check. The drone arrived hours later. What it found made no sense. The planet was still there. The stars still shined. But the colony was gone. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just missing, as if it had never existed. The report was sent to the council. Most ignored it. "Technical error," they said. "Sensor failure." Nothing more. But then it happened again. Another system. Another colony. Gone. No pattern. No warning. No trace. Now, people started to pay attention. The council gathered again. This time, there was no laughter, only tension. A map of the galaxy appeared in the center of the chamber. Small lights marked each lost system. At first, there were only a few. Then more appeared, slowly, quietly, moving inward. "It's spreading," someone whispered. "No," another replied quickly. "That is not confirmed." But deep down, they all knew this was not random. This was not natural. Something was coming, and it was getting closer. "Contact humanity again," the leader ordered. "Now." Signals were sent across space. Stronger this time. More direct. Urgent. Still, no answer. Days passed. The disappearances continued. Ships were sent to investigate. None returned. Not one. Panic began to spread across the galaxy. Trade routes closed. Military forces prepared. Civilian populations grew afraid. And still, humans said nothing. The council was no longer calm. Arguments filled the chamber. What is this? Is it a weapon? An unknown species? A natural disaster? No one had answers. Then, suddenly, a new signal appeared. Weak, broken, but familiar. Human. The chamber fell silent as the message played. Static filled the air. Then a voice. Too late? The signal cut. Then returned. We tried. More static. It's not what you think. The voice sounded tired. Heavy, like someone who had already given up. And then the final words came through, clear enough to understand. You should have listened. The signal ended. No one spoke. No one moved. Because now they understood this was not a warning anymore. This was the beginning. And whatever humanity had seen, whatever they had tried to stop, was already here. The lights on the galactic map continued to disappear, one by one, getting closer, closer, closer. And for the first time in its long history, the galaxy felt something it had never truly known before. Fear. The galaxy did not panic. Not yet. Even after the warning. Even after the silence from humanity, many still refused to believe something terrible was coming. Fear was dangerous. Fear could break order. So the leaders chose calm. Or at least they pretended to. On the council world, the great chamber was filled again. But this time, the mood was different. No laughter. No jokes. Only quiet voices and tense faces. The glowing map still floated in the center. More lights had disappeared. More systems gone. A tall, armored commander stepped forward. His voice was strong, controlled. This is not an unknown force, he said. There must be a reason, a cause. We are dealing with something physical, something that can be understood. Many agreed quickly. Yes, it could be a rare cosmic event, a chain of collapsing stars, or hidden black holes forming. They spoke fast, trying to find answers that made sense, because the truth they feared made no sense at all. One scientist raised a small device. We have scanned the affected areas, she said. There are no energy readings, no radiation, no signs of destruction. That is impossible, someone replied. Yes, she said quietly. It is. Silence filled the chamber again. The commander frowned. Then our scans are wrong. But deep down, even he did not believe that, because more reports were coming in, faster now. Another system had just gone dark. Then another. The pattern was becoming clear. It was not random. It was moving, slowly, system by system, like something was passing through the galaxy, something unseen, something unstoppable. Still, many refused to accept it. If this was a real threat, one council member said, we would see something. We would detect it. Nothing can just erase entire systems. Others nodded. They needed to believe that, because if this thing was real, then nothing they knew mattered anymore. Meanwhile, far from the council, ordinary people began to notice the changes. Trade ships stopped arriving. Communication delays increased. News channels filled with rumors. Some said it was war. Others said it was a cover-up. But no one knew the truth, because there was no truth to give, only fear. On a small transport station near the outer regions, a cargo pilot stared at a screen. Control, I'm not getting a signal from station K-47, he said. Static answered him. He tried again. Control? Nothing. His hands tightened. K-47 was always active, always busy. But now, there was nothing. He turned his ship toward the station anyway. Maybe it was just a communication problem. Maybe everything was fine. But as he arrived, his heart dropped. The station was gone. Not damaged, not destroyed. Gone. The space where it should have been was empty. The pilot did not speak. He did not move, because his mind could not understand what he was seeing. Then his screen flickered. For just a second, a shadow passed across it. Quick, silent, gone. The pilot pulled back immediately, his breath shaking. Control, Something's out here. But his signal never reached anyone, because behind him, space itself seemed to bend. And then he disappeared. Back on the council world, the situation was getting worse. Reports were now coming in every hour. Ships lost. Stations gone. Entire planets missing. The map in the chamber was changing faster now. Lights fading one by one. Moving inward, closer to the core systems. Closer to the most populated areas of the galaxy. This is no natural event, the scientist said again, her voice stronger now. No storm behaves like this. No black hole moves like this. Then what is it? Someone shouted. She hesitated. For the first time, she looked afraid. I don't know. That answer hit harder than anything else. Because if the smartest minds of the galaxy did not know, then who did? A quiet voice spoke from the side. Humans. All eyes turned. They knew, the voice continued. They warned us before this started. Murmurs spread across the chamber. Yes, the message, they said they had seen it. They said they tried to stop it. The room grew colder. Because now the question was not what is this? The question was, what did humans see? Contact them again, the leader ordered. But this time his voice was not calm. It was desperate. Signals were sent with full power. Military channels. Emergency frequencies. Direct quantum links. Everything. They pushed the signals harder than ever before. Calling Earth. Calling every human colony. Calling any ship that could answer. Hours passed. Then more. Finally, a response came. Weak. Broken. But real. The chamber fell silent as the signal was opened. Static filled the air. Then a human voice spoke. Tired. Cold. You're still there. No one answered at first. They didn't know what to say. Finally, the leader stepped forward. What is happening? He asked. What is this thing? The human did not reply immediately. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then the voice returned. You didn't listen? The words were not angry. Not loud. Just empty. Like all hope was gone. We need to understand, the leader said quickly. We can still act. We can still fight. A faint sound came through the signal. It almost sounded like a laugh. But there was no humor in it. Fight? More static. We tried that. The chamber felt smaller. Heavier. Then, tell us what to do, someone shouted. Tell us how to stop it. The signal flickered. For a second, it almost disappeared. Then the final words came through. Clear, slow, and full of quiet fear. You can't stop it. The signal died. Gone again. No connection. No answers. Only silence. The chamber remained still. Because now, the truth was impossible to ignore. This was real. This was happening. And whatever was coming was already inside their galaxy. The map flickered again. Another system went dark. Then another. Closer now. Much closer. And for the first time, no one tried to explain it away. No one tried to deny it. Because disbelief was no longer possible. Only one question remained. How long until it reached them? The galaxy was no longer calm. Fear had spread everywhere. Not loud fear. Not chaos yet, but a quiet, growing fear. The kind that sits inside the chest and does not leave. After the last human message, everything changed. Leaders stopped arguing. Scientists stopped guessing. Because now they all understood one thing. Humans had already faced this, and they had failed. On the council world, the great chamber remained active day and night. No one left. No one rested. The glowing map in the center had become the most important object in the galaxy, and it was getting worse. Much worse. The dark area on the map was growing faster now. At first, it moved slowly, but now, systems were disappearing every few minutes. Entire regions were going silent. It's accelerating, the scientist said, her voice shaking. That's not possible, the commander replied. Nothing increases speed without energy input. She looked at him with tired eyes. Then explain it. He could not. No one could, because nothing about this made sense. Another report came in. Then another. A fleet sent to observe the edge of the darkness had vanished. No signal. No warning. Just gone. They didn't even have time to send a distress call, someone whispered. The room fell silent again, because that meant one thing. Whatever this was, it was faster than thought. Suddenly, alarms rang through the chamber. A new signal had been detected, but this one was different. It was not from Earth. It was from deep space, beyond the last known human position. We're receiving transmission, an operator said. It's human but unstable. Play it. The leader ordered immediately. The signal appeared in the air, broken, flickering, full of static. For a moment, nothing could be heard. Then a voice came through, weak, strained. If anyone is receiving this, the chamber went completely still. The voice continued, cutting in and out. This is Captain Elias Ward of the Human Exploration Fleet. A human, alive, or at least still speaking. We crossed the outer boundary. We found it. Static burst loudly, then faded. Everyone leaned forward. What did you find? The leader whispered, as if the human could hear him. The signal struggled, then returned. It's not a species. Silence. Not a weapon. More static. It's wrong. The word echoed strangely. Wrong. Not dangerous. Not hostile. Wrong. The captain's breathing could be heard now. Heavy. Uneven. Like he was struggling to stay conscious. It doesn't move like anything we know. It doesn't follow rules. The image flickered for a second. For just a moment, something appeared behind him. A distortion, like space itself was bending. Then it was gone. The chamber froze. We tried to scan it. There was nothing to scan. The captain's voice dropped lower. We fired on it. A pause. Our weapons passed through empty space. Someone in the chamber gasped. But then our ship started disappearing. The signal shook violently now. Static filled the air. Not destroyed. Erase. The word hit harder than anything else. Erase. Like they were never there. The captain coughed. A harsh, painful sound. It doesn't attack. It removes. The lights in the chamber dimmed, slightly. Or maybe it just felt that way. We tried to escape. It followed us. The signal broke again. For a few seconds, there was nothing. Then suddenly it returned. Stronger this time. Clearer. The captain's face appeared. Pale. Eyes wide. Filled with something no one had seen before. Not fear. Not panic. Something worse. Understanding. This is not war. He looked directly into the recording, as if he could see the future audience. This is the end. No one in the chamber breathed. It consumes reality itself. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Impossible. Space, time, matter. Everything. The signal flickered violently now. The distortion behind him grew larger. Closer. You cannot fight it. You cannot stop it. The captain's voice became urgent. Desperate. You can only run. The image twisted. For a second, his body stretched unnaturally. Then snapped back. We tried everything. Nothing worked. A loud noise burst through the signal, like reality tearing. The captain turned, looking behind him. Whatever he saw made him freeze. It's here. The final words came slowly, broken. If you're hearing this, you're already too late. The signal cut. Gone. The chamber remained silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Because now they knew this was not an enemy, not something they could fight, not something they could understand. This was something beyond everything they knew, something that erased existence itself. The scientist stepped back slowly. That's not possible, she whispered. But no one agreed, because they had all heard it, seen it, felt it. The commander looked at the map. His hands clenched tightly. Where is it now? He asked. The operator checked. His face turned pale. Closer than before? How close? The operator hesitated, then answered, 3 sectors away. A wave of fear passed through the room. 3 sectors. That was nothing. At its current speed, it would reach the core world soon. Very soon. We need to evacuate, someone said quickly. All systems. Now. But where do we go? Another replied. There is nowhere to go, a third voice said. Silence returned. because that was the truth. You cannot run from something that erases reality itself. The map flickered again. Another system disappeared. Then another. Faster now. Closer. The darkness was spreading, and nothing could stop it. For the first time in galactic history, the truth was clear. This was extinction, not for one species, not for one world, for everything. And far away, in the growing silence of dead space, the thing continued. Slow, quiet, unstoppable. The truth changed everything. There was no more doubt, no more denial. The galaxy finally understood. This was not a problem to solve. This was not a war to win. This was survival. And even that was uncertain. Across thousands of worlds, emergency signals were sent. Governments activated evacuation plans. Military fleets were called back from distant regions. Trade stopped. Travel routes closed. Order began to break. Slowly at first, then all at once. On the council world, the great chamber was no longer calm. Voices rose. Arguments filled the air. Leaders who once spoke with control now shouted in fear. We must evacuate the core systems first. No, we protect them. If they fall, everything falls. We don't have enough ships. Then we leave people behind. That sentence changed the room. Leave people behind. No one wanted to say it, but everyone knew it was true. There were too many worlds, too many lives, not enough time. The map in the center continued to change. Systems vanished faster now, not one at a time. Sometimes 3, sometimes 5. Entire regions were going dark in moments. It's speeding up again, the scientist said, her voice barely steady. The commander looked at her. Can we slow it? She did not answer, because she already knew. No. On a distant planet filled with tall cities and bright lights, millions of beings rushed through the streets. Ships filled the sky, leaving in every direction. Families pushed through crowds, trying to reach spaceports. A mother held her child tightly. Stay close, she said, her voice shaking. Where are we going? The child asked. She paused, then whispered, somewhere safe. But she did not know where that was, because there was no safe place anymore. Above the planet, a massive fleet waited. Ships of all sizes prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel. Military vessels tried to keep order, guiding civilians, holding lines, controlling panic. But panic cannot be controlled for long, not when the end is coming. A captain stood on the bridge of a defense ship, watching the chaos below. We can't take everyone, his officer said quietly. The captain did not reply, because he knew. And then something changed. Sensors began to fail. One by one. Sir, we're losing readings, the officer said quickly. From where? The outer orbit. The captain turned. His screen flickered. For a moment, everything looked normal. Then a section of space shifted, not exploded, not collapsed, just changed, like a piece of reality had been removed. And then the ships in that area disappeared. No light, no sound, no trace. The officer froze. They're gone. The captain stepped back slowly. Full retreat, he ordered. All ships, move away from that sector now. But it was already too late for some. The distortion spread. Slow, silent, touching more ships. Each one vanished in the moment it was reached. Below, on the planet, people looked up. They saw ships disappearing. One by one. Fear turned into terror. Screams filled the streets. It's here! It's here! The word spread faster than anything else. And then the sky itself began to change. Stars flickered. Light bent. The edge of the world started to fade. Back on the council world, alarms screamed across every system. It has entered a populated zone, an operator shouted. How far? The leader demanded. Too close. The chamber fell into chaos. Evacuate immediately. All ships. Prepare for emergency jump. Send warning to every system. Messages were sent across the galaxy. Urgent. Desperate. But many would never receive them, because the darkness was already there. On another world, far from the first, a research station watched the incoming data. We are tracking the anomaly. a scientist said. It's not following a path. It's expanding. How fast? Faster than before. Can we outrun it? The scientist hesitated. No. Silence. Then someone whispered, Then what do we do? No one answered, because there was no answer. In space, fleets began to move, not in formation, not in order, just running. Ships jumped blindly, choosing any direction away from the spreading void. Some collided, some vanished mid-jump, some simply disappeared without warning. The galaxy was breaking, not just physically, but mentally. Hope was fading. Fast, back in the great chamber, the commander stood still, staring at the map. His strong voice was gone. Only quiet remained. We were too late, he said. No one argued, because it was true. The warning had come. Clear, simple, but they had ignored it. Now, they were paying the price. The scientist stepped closer to the map. Her eyes followed the spreading darkness. There has to be something, she said. Some weakness, some pattern. The commander shook his head slowly. If there is, we don't have time to find it. Another system disappeared. Then another. Closer, closer. The core world were next. Billions of lives. Entire civilizations. Everything they had built. Everything they had known. About to be erased. Suddenly, a new signal appeared. Weak, but different. Unknown transmission. The operator said. Source, the leader asked. The operator checked. Then froze. Human. The chamber went silent. Again, after all this time, after all the silence, humans were calling. Put it through, the leader said quickly. The signal opened. Static filled the air. Then a voice. Calm, steady, very different from before. We are returning. 3 simple words. But they changed everything. The leader stepped forward. Returning? From where? What can you do? A pause. Then the human voice replied. We cannot stop it. The chamber fell again, but the voice continued. But we found a way to slow it. Hope. Small. Weak. But real. The commander looked up. For how long? He asked. Another pause. Long enough if you listen this time. The signal ended. No more words. No more explanation. Only a choice. The galaxy stood at the edge of extinction, and the only ones who had faced it before were coming back. The message spread across the galaxy in seconds. We are returning. After all the fear, after all the silence, humanity was coming back. But no one knew what that meant. On the council world, every screen was focused on one thing, the outer edge of the spreading darkness, where everything was disappearing, where reality itself was breaking, and now, where something new appeared, a signal, small at first, then stronger. Ships, human ships. They've arrived, the operator said, his voice filled with disbelief. The chamber leaned forward. On the main display, a fleet came into view. It was not large, not compared to the massive alien armadas of the galaxy, but it was different. Each ship had a strange design. Smooth surfaces, dark metal, lines of faint blue light running across their hulls like veins. They don't look like warships, the commander said. They're not, the scientist replied quietly. Not in the way we understand. The fleet moved slowly, directly toward the darkness. No hesitation, no change in course. They're heading straight into it, someone said. Are they insane? Another replied. But no one stopped them, because no one else had a plan. The human fleet formed a wide line, spread out, facing the advancing edge of nothingness. Behind them, the galaxy waited, watching, hoping, fearing. A new signal opened from the human flagship. This time it was clear, strong. A human commander appeared on the screen. His face was calm, tired, but focused. This is Commander Hale, he said. All systems listen carefully. The chamber went silent. We cannot destroy the anomaly, he continued. We have tried, many times. His eyes moved slightly, as if remembering something painful. We lost entire fleets, entire worlds, trying to fight it. No one spoke, because they already knew that part. But he said, his voice stronger now. "We learned something." Hope returned, just a little. "It reacts," he continued. "Not like a living thing, not like a machine, but it reacts to certain energy patterns." The scientist leaned forward. "What kind of patterns?" she asked quietly. The human commander answered, "Reality anchors." The term meant nothing to most of them, but it sounded important. "We created devices," he said, "machines that stabilize space around them. They don't stop the anomaly, but they slow its spread." "How much?" the leader asked. "A few minutes," Hale replied. The chamber fell silent again. "Minutes. That was all." "That's not enough," someone said. "It's all we have," Hale replied calmly. The truth hit hard. This was not a solution. This was time. Nothing more. "Our fleet will deploy the anchors along the front," Hale continued. "We will hold the line as long as possible." "And then?" the commander asked. Hale paused, then answered simply, "Then you run." No one argued, because there was nothing else to say. The human fleet moved into position. Large sections of their ships opened. Strange machines emerged, floating structures made of dark metal and glowing light. They spread out into space, forming a barrier, a thin line between existence and nothing. "Anchors deployed," a human voice reported, "activating now." For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself began to change. The stars near the anchors became clearer, sharper, like reality was being held in place. And then the darkness reached them. The edge of the anomaly touched the first anchor. For a second, everything froze. Then it slowed. Not stopped, but slower. The spreading void struggled to move forward, like it had met resistance. "It's working," the scientist whispered. Across the galaxy, people watched in silence. For the first time since the beginning, the darkness was not winning instantly. It was being held, even if only for a moment. "Maintain position," Hale ordered. The human ships remained still, steady, focused. Behind them, evacuation fleets began to move. Billions of lives started to escape, world by world, system by system, using the time humanity was giving them. But the anomaly did not stop. It pushed forward, slowly, relentlessly. The first anchor began to flicker. Energy levels dropped. "It's failing," a human operator said. "Redirect power," Hale ordered. "It won't hold," the operator replied. The anchor shattered, not with an explosion, but with silence. And the darkness moved forward again. Faster now. "Deploy next line," Hale said immediately. More anchors activated. Again, the anomaly slowed. Again, time was bought. Minutes. Only minutes. But those minutes meant everything. Back on the council world, the leader watched the display. "They're sacrificing themselves," he said quietly. The commander nodded. "Yes." Because the human fleet was not moving back, not retreating. They were staying in place, holding the line, even as the darkness came closer. One of the council members stepped forward. "Why?" they asked. "Why would they do this for us?" No one answered at first. Then the scientist spoke. "Because they warned us." Silence. And we didn't listen. On the battlefield, the human fleet continued its work. Anchor after anchor, line after line, each one slowing the end, each one buying time. Ships began to disappear, one by one, caught at the edge of the anomaly, gone without a trace. Still, they did not retreat. "Hold formation," Hale said calmly, even as his own ship shook, even as the distortion grew closer. "Evacuation status?" he asked. 70% complete." A voice replied. "Not enough," Hale said. More ships vanished. The line grew thinner, but it still held. Barely. Back on the council world, the evacuation had begun. For the first time in history, the core systems were being abandoned. Everything left behind, all because of one truth. Survival was more important than pride. The leader looked at the screen again, at the human fleet, at the line they were holding, and he understood something important. Humanity had not just faced the end. They had learned how to stand in front of it, even if it meant losing everything. On the battlefield, the final line of anchors activated. The anomaly slowed once more, but this time it did not stop for long. "Commander," an operator said softly, "we're out of anchors." Hale closed his eyes for a second, then opened them again. "Calm. Ready. Then we hold," he said. "With what?" someone asked. Hale looked forward, at the approaching void. "With whatever we have left." The darkness moved closer, closer, and the human fleet remained in its path, unmoving, unafraid, because this was not about winning. The galaxy was running, not in panic now, not in chaos, but in quiet, desperate movement. Ships filled every safe route. Civilian fleets, military carriers, transport vessels, all moving away from the spreading darkness. Behind them, humanity was still holding the line, but not for long. On the battlefield, the last human ship stood alone. Most of the fleet was gone, not destroyed. Erased. Commander Hale watched the empty space where his allies once were. No sound, no light, just absence. "Evacuation status?" he asked. His voice was calm but tired. A long pause followed, then a reply. 92% complete. Hale closed his eyes for a moment. Not enough, but it would have to be. "Signal the galaxy," he said. "Tell them to continue moving. Do not stop. Do not look back." "Yes, Commander." The message spread instantly, across every remaining system, across every fleeing ship. Simple, clear, cold. Keep going. Back on the Council world, the final evacuation ships were preparing to leave. The great chamber was almost empty now. Leaders stood in silence, watching the last transmission from a human fleet. The scientist spoke quietly. "They're not coming back." The commander shook his head. "No, they aren't." No one argued, because they all knew. Humanity had chosen its place. Not behind, not running, but in front of the end. On the battlefield, the darkness moved forward again. No anchors remained. No barriers. Nothing left to slow it. Reality bent as it approached. Stars stretched. Light twisted. Even time felt unstable. Distance? Hale asked. "Less than a minute," the operator replied. Hale nodded slowly. "Prepare final sequence." The crew moved quickly, not with fear, but with purpose, because they knew what they had to do. "What is the final sequence?" a young officer asked. Hale looked at him, forcing a collapse. The officer frowned. "Of what?" Hale turned back to the front. "Of everything in this area." Silence. Then understanding. "If we can't stop it," Hale continued, "we can at least break the space around it. Disrupt its spread. Slow it one last time." "For how long?" the officer asked. Hale gave a small, tired smile. "Long enough." That was always the answer. Long enough. Back with the fleeing fleets. The last ships jumped into deep space. Far from the core. Far from what used to be home. Billions of lives now carried into the unknown. Saved, but at a cost. On one ship, a child looked out at the stars. "Is it over?" they asked. The adult beside them hesitated, then said softly, "No, but we're still here." That was the only truth left. Back on the Council ship, the leader watched the final moments of the human fleet. His voice was quiet. "They warned us." The scientist nodded. "Yes." "And we ignored them." Another pause. Then the commander spoke. "We won't make that mistake again." But the words fell heavy, because there might not be a next time. On the battlefield, the darkness was close now. Very close. The edge of nothing reached the outer ships. One vanished. Then another. The line was gone. Only the flagship remained. Hale stood on the bridge. "Steady. Final sequence ready," the operator said. "On your command." Hale took one last look at the stars, at the galaxy behind him, at everything they had protected. "Transmit final message," he said. The signal spread across all channels. Clear, strong. Every ship, every survivor, heard his voice. "This is Commander Hale of the human fleet." A pause, not for fear, but for meaning. "We were not the strongest. We were not the oldest. But we saw what was coming and we tried." Across the fleeing ships, people listened in silence. Some cried. Some simply watched. We could not stop it, Hale continued, but we could give you time. The darkness touched the edge of his ship. Systems began to fail. Lights flickered. Still, he spoke. Do not waste it. His voice softened. Live. The signal weakened, but his final words still came through. And remember, we stood. The transmission ended. Silence followed. Then, the final sequence activated. For a brief moment, everything became still. Then space collapsed. Not violently, not loudly, but completely. A massive wave spread outward. Light bent inward. Stars disappeared. The advancing darkness paused. Just for a moment, then slowed. The effect was small, temporary, but enough. Far away, the fleeing fleets continued to move. They did not look back. They did not stop, because they understood now. This was not about victory. This was about survival. And survival had been given to them by humanity. Days later, far beyond the reach of the destroyed galaxy, the survivors gathered. Different species, different worlds. Now one people, together, building something new, not out of power, not out of pride, but out of memory. The leader of the council stood before them. The galaxy is gone, he said, a heavy truth. But we are not. He looked at the gathered survivors. At the end, when we failed, when we ignored the warning, he paused, then continued. They did not. Silence filled the space. They stood for us. The scientists stepped forward, and because of them, we are still here. A new understanding grew among them, not of fear, not of loss, but of respect, for a species they once called weak, for a voice they once ignored. Humanity, gone, but not forgotten. And in the deep silence of the universe, one truth remained. When the end came, humans did not run. They stood,